Welcome to episode 113 of Cameron Sports Podcast. It's your host, Cameron Lindsay, back with a brand new episode. Today episode, we're going to be talking about week one of the 2025 college football season, giving a recap of what happened last week and also make my week two predictions and game picks. So let's get right into it. So last week we had a lot of good games for week one. Texas, Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama, LSU and Clemson, Miami and Notre Dame. So, and I made my predictions for those. And like I said, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of these games, I think just about all the big games I did get wrong. I'm not gonna lie. And let's start with the game of the week. Texas taking on Ohio State. Texas was ranked number 1. Ohio State was ranked number 3 in the AP poll for week 1. A lot of people, like I said, the media in particular, had a lot of hype towards Arch Manning. Of course, he's the guy now. Quinn Ewers is gone in the NFL. He's a starter. He has a lot of hype. He fits the build. He's 6'3", 6'4", 225. He's athletic, can run with his legs, good arm. But, I'm just like I said in my last episode, let Arch Manning play. As media, we got to stop overhyping these players before they take a meaningful snap in the game. I know Arch had a couple starts last year, but he wasn't the full-time guy. This year, he's the guy now. He's the full-blown starter. Let him, learn. Let him make some mistakes if he got to. You're going against the defending national champions. And I give it to Ohio State. Them corners balled out. They made it hard for Arch. Texas leading receiver only had 2 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. That was Parker Livingston. He led Texas in receiving yards. But the Ohio State DBs did really good job. Like I said, Arch, he struggled in the first half. He kind of picked it up towards the end. Texas had a chance to potentially tie the game. He went 17 of 30, 170 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. And, I ain't gonna put the full blame on him. Some of his receivers towards the end did drop some key passes, like Wesco. It was on the third. I think it was on the third down. And if he would have caught it, he would have got the first down, and the drive would have continued. And who knows, Texas could have ended up tying that game. So I ain't gonna put it completely on Arch. I think Steve Sarkisian has to open the playbook up more for him. But I will say Arch, he wasn't really that accurate, overthrowing receivers, underthrowing them, behind. If it's a crossing route or a slant, he's throwing it behind the receiver and not really giving the receiver the best chance to catch the ball, in stride. But I think Arch would be fine. I think, he's a really good quarterback. I think a lot of people I just hate to see fans on social media saying, oh, Arch overrated. Ty Simpson's, the Alabama starting quarterback, is better than him. Or such and such is better than him. Dang, it's one game. You telling me he one game? Arch wasn't the one bringing up this hype. He barely spoke. I think the only time I seen Arch spoke was when his grandfather Archie Manning said that he thinks Arch is gonna. He said that Arch is gonna return to school. Archie Manning said we're gonna return to school. And Arch responded saying he hasn't said anything about that, and his grandfather apologized for that. So, but kudos to the Ohio State defense. They really balled out. Now, Ohio State's offense, really wasn't all that, but Julian Sayin also kind of struggled in the first half, but he picked it up a little bit in the second half. He went 13 of 20, 126 passing yards, and a touchdown. So he actually looked pretty good. I think you could say he outplayed Arch Manning a little bit, in my opinion, from what I saw watching that game. Julian Sayin, a redshirt freshman, he threw a couple passes last year. He's a 5-star recruit, one of the top quarterbacks from the 2024 class last year. He was at Alabama, but when Nick Saban retired, he transferred. So before the season began, he never really was on the Alabama roster besides during the offseason. But, I think, it's the reason why I think Julian Sayin won the job for the starting quarterback for the Ohio State University football team. Now, what really shocked me was Jeremiah Smith's struggle, him dropping passes, Texas keeping him under wraps, just like they kind of did in the college football playoff game last year. So he wasn't really a big factor in this game. The Ohio State's leading receiver was Carnell Tate. He had 2 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown. So yeah, that right there, I don't expect that to happen quite often because Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. I think he'll pick it up. I think Julian Sayin, seeing that he got a big win at home against Texas, his confidence is going to go up. He's going to continue to get better, and I think Ohio State's probably going to pick up where they left off. Now the running game is going. I want how that's going to continue to get better. They look pretty decent. With the transfer running back from my West Virginia Mountaineers, C.J. Donaldson. He transferred from West Virginia to Ohio State. They look pretty decent, so I wonder how that running game is going to continue to get better because I think that was a key factor of Ohio State winning the national championship last year with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, but now both of them are off to the NFL. But yeah, Texas lost to Ohio State 14-7. It was a real good game, a low-scoring game. Both defenses played very well, but Ohio State came out with a victory and a better team. It's the reason why they're now ranked number 1 in the AP poll. Next game to talk about, Florida State defeating number 8 Alabama at home 31-17. Tommy Castellanos, I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, went 9 of 14. He had 230 total yards and a touchdown. Now, a lot of people criticize Tommy. He's a transfer from Boston College. He transferred from Boston College to Florida State during the offseason. He made some comments saying that Nick Saban can't save Alabama no more. And I was one of those people. I'm not an Alabama fan, by the way. Obviously, you can see. And I'm like, I don't know if he want to do that now. And one of the reasons, because Florida State was awful last year. They won 2 games. So I'm like, I don't really expect much out of Florida State heading into this season. They were terrible last year. But I mean, he backed up his words. He balled out. He's like I said, he's a good quarterback. He uses his legs very well. Arm, wasn't, very elite. Not saying he can't throw the ball, but he did enough to where he had to, win that game. Gus Malzahn caught the new offensive coordinator, the former Auburn and UCF head coach. He called a good game with Tommy. Now, a lot of people or criticize Alabama, and yes, I do agree they're not the same Alabama anymore. I just don't see it. I agree. There are a lot of people saying that a lot of teams, especially in the SEC, don't fear Alabama anymore, and I think that's true. To be honest, like back when Nick Saban was the coach, you playing Alabama, like you better come ready, you better come prepared because they're gonna come physical, they're gonna come hard, they're gonna hit you in the mouth, they're gonna run the football. They got explosive playmakers on the offensive side, and they got hitters on the defensive side. But I didn't see that with Alabama. Receivers dropping passes. I didn't really see a strong running game at all. Ty Simpson, he didn't play bad, but like I said, to be honest, I know a lot of people are saying Ty Simpson should be benched. But you realize he went 23 of 43, 254 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he didn't turn the ball over. He's actually pretty decent. I would give him like a C+, B- grade. Jeremy Bernard had 8 catches for 146 receiving yards. He was their leading receiver. Ryan Williams struggled, just like Jeremiah Smith with Ohio State. He struggled dropping passes. He ended up getting hurt. And went into concussion protocol. I don't know if he's going to play this week against Louisiana Monroe. Because like I said, it was reported he's been he's still in concussion protocol. He's like in a colored jersey or, non-contact jersey. So he's kind of practicing, but there's no confirmation yet that he's going to play this Saturday at home. But I'm shocked. Florida State proved me wrong. I did not see this coming. In my last episode with Ohio State, I did say I had Texas winning, but I said it would not shock me if Ohio State beat Texas, if I recall. But Florida State, I didn't see this coming at all. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had like Alabama 40-something. I think I had Florida State maybe 10-14, something like that. I have to look at my notes from my past episode, but yeah, that shocked me. Next game, LSU, number 9 LSU going on the road into Death Valley to play number 4 Clemson on the road. They won the game 17-10. Garrett Nussmeier went 28 of 38 for 232 yards and a touchdown. Cade Klubnik, 19 of 38, 230 yards and an interception. I picked Clemson to win this game because, like I said, I believe Clemson was better top to bottom, especially on defense with T.J. Parker, potential first-round pick in next year's draft. Peter Woods, D-tackle, first-round pick in next year's draft. Avion Terrell, going to be a first-round pick in next year's draft. There's just that deep Sammy Brown, sophomore linebacker. That whole defense is very talented on Clemson. Even dabbled in the transfer portal a bit. You know, their receivers on the offensive end, Wesco, Williams, of course, Cade Klubnik, a potential first-round pick in next year's draft also. So I just think that Clemson was better top to bottom, had the better coach, and Dabo Swinney, Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, you know, struggling, you know, week 1 games since he's been at LSU. LSU got, you know, a really good offense, but their defense was awful. Has been awful the past couple of years. But they shocked me. They played outstanding in this game. Perkins, he looked good. The linebacker, he's back. Number 7, he looked good. Like I said, Garrett Nussmeier looked like the best quarterback in football this last week. And like I said, LSU might be legit. I can see why some people believe LSU might win the SEC. Looking at that game, I think LSU is a front runner right now. I'll say LSU and maybe Georgia, but you know Georgia did play Marshall. Of course, they're gonna blow out Marshall. But if I had to say 2 teams that look like they're gonna be in Atlanta for the SEC championship game, is LSU and Georgia. I just think it'd probably be too much right now to ask for Texas unless they start clicking. It's a long season, but Alabama, I just don't see it. I just don't see them making it to the SEC championship game because nobody fears them. I don't see how they're going to beat LSU. I don't see how they're going to be. To be honest, I think Alabama might lose to South Carolina. I know I wasn't able to do my schedule predictions for Alabama, but one of the losses I had on their schedule was potentially LSU, South Carolina, and Georgia. Yeah, South Carolina and Georgia were definitely 2 teams I had Alabama losing to because I think last year South Carolina played Alabama close on the road. It just a few mistakes kept South Carolina from winning that game. And I think this year they could possibly get Alabama. I would not be shocked at all if South Carolina, if Lenore Sellers leads South Carolina at home and beat Alabama. He's athletic, just like Tommy Costellos. He can throw the ball. You know, they got some weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Now the defense, but you know they even got playmaker on the defensive side of the ball too. So that would not shock me. But yeah, LSU looked really good. Clemson, like I said, I don't think their season is over. Just like old buddy said on his show, I forgot his name. On Fox. Yeah, Joel Clapp. Just like he said, Clemson. I don't think you should punish any. I don't think you should punish Texas. I don't think you should punish Clemson for losing this game and think they're going to miss the college football playoff. They lost to good teams. They're good teams. It's a long season. They can bounce back. And these were close losses. If Texas got blown out by Ohio State, it'd be different a little bit. If Clemson got blown out, they didn't. They both lost by a touchdown, 7 points. That was it. So I think Clemson's going to bounce back. I think they're going to win the ACC. I know Miami look good. About to get to them right now in a second. But I think Clemson is still the favorite to win the ACC. And I think Cade Klubnik is still the best quarterback in that conference. Now to Miami and Notre Dame. Like I said, another game I was wrong. I picked Notre Dame to beat Miami, but Miami ended up winning at home 27-24. Carson Beck looked really good, shockingly. Coming back from that elbow injury. He wasn't really active during the spring. So we didn't know how he was going to look. He went 20 of 30, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, and completing 66% of his passes. Like I said, that shocked me. That crowd, watching that game, that crowd was loud, rocking. The defense looked good. I was really impressed by freshman wide receiver Malachi Toney from American Heritage High School. He's a freshman, only 17 years old, just like Ryan Williams was last year. He looks like they call him Baby Jesus. He looked explosive. He caught a touchdown pass, looking good. So Miami, they got some weapons. Malachi Toney, JoJo Trader. So I think, Miami look like they got a chance. I'm not going to sit here and say they're back. Until Miami literally gets to win the ACC, Until they win the ACC conference or make the college football playoff, then I might say, okay, they may be back. But I think Mario Cristobal got to prove to me it's a long season because Miami last year with Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall to the Titans, they was explosive on offense, looking good, looking like they might win the ACC. And then they lost to Georgia Tech. And then last game of the season, they lost to Syracuse, missing out on the ACC championship game. And so you never know at this point. But that Miami defense looked good. We'll see. Notre Dame, I know some people say Notre Dame might miss the college football playoff, but CJ Carr, he looked pretty decent. I think that Notre Dame offense, we can't write them out just yet. But, I think they'll be fine. It's a long season now. I think they probably will. With Notre Dame not being in a conference, they will most likely have to run the table. Most 9 times out of 10, they could lose one more game, but they got Notre Dame. The only way they get in is winning 10, 11 games. That's the only way. Just like last year, the only game they lost was against, besides the college football national championship, was at home against Northern Illinois. So I think they're going to most likely run the table. But good win for Miami. They're looking like the second best team, second best team in the ACC, even though Clemson lost. I still got Clemson right now. It looks like it could be Clemson, Miami in the ACC championship game. Like I said, but it's a long season, so can't jump to conclusions. But Carson Beck looked very good. Better than he did when he was at Georgia. So I don't know how Georgia fans feel about that. But now let's get into week 2 of the college football season. We got some good games here. Starting with number 11, Illinois, 1-0, taking on Duke, 1-0 at Duke. Just 12 o'clock p.m. game, Saturday. Illinois, like I said, ranked. This is the highest they've been ranked ever in their program in a while. Duke, really good team at home. They got the transfer quarterback from Tulane, Mensa, who got paid, I think, like $4 million, at least $4 million to transfer from Tulane to Duke. So he's a really good quarterback. He was a freshman last year at Tulane. I think this is gonna be a really good game. I think it's gonna be pretty close. But I'm going with Illinois. The better coach Brent Villema. A lot of returning starters on that Illinois team. I think it's gonna be close, but I'm going Illinois to get the win over Duke. Next up, Iowa, 1-0, taking on in-state rival Iowa State, number 16 Iowa State. They're 2-0. I think this could be a close game, maybe. But seeing Ohio State beat Kansas in Ireland, of course, dominate their last game, I think Iowa State will get the win here over Iowa. Baylor, 0-1, taking on number 17 SMU, 1-0, Saturday, 12 o'clock p.m. also. This battle in-state in Texas. SMU made the ACC championship game last year. They got their starting quarterback coming back, but I think Baylor might get the win here. I think Baylor's gonna be motivated to get that win. Losing to Auburn at home. I think Baylor could get the upset here over SMU over this Saturday. So I'm going Baylor to win this game over SMU. Next up, got Ole Miss, number 20 Ole Miss, taking on Kentucky. Both 1-0 Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Ole Miss quarterback Austin Simmons. Yeah, redshirt freshman. He already got his degree at 19 already, bachelor's, working on his master's. He looked really good in that game against Georgia State. Now, granted, I know it's against Georgia State, but he looked really, really good. This is a chance for him to show what he really got going against an SEC conference team. And I think Ole Miss is going to get the win here against Kentucky. I'm just not all that into Kentucky's offense. I don't know how they're going to look, but I'm going to Ole Miss to get the win over Kentucky. Next up, got South Florida 1-0, taking on number 13 ranked Florida 1-0, 4:15 p.m. South Florida got an upset win at home against Boise State, a team that went to the college football playoff last year. Granted, they didn't have Ashton Jeanty, but USF looked really, really good. They dominated Boise State. I know, again, it's Boise State, but that Boise State team is going to be in the Pac-12 next year. They're going to be a Power 5 team. Now, I'm not going to say, there's going to be that they can upset Florida. It could be a close game. DJ Lagway, see how he still looks coming off that injury during the offseason. I know they look good in their game last week, but this could possibly be a sneaky good game, potentially. But I'm going Florida. I just think it's way too much talent, obviously. DJ Lagway at quarterback. I think they'll win this game pretty. Yeah. But next up, we got the game of the week. Number 15, Michigan, led by the head coach Jerome Moore, former Oklahoma Sooners alumni, taking on 18th ranked Oklahoma 1-0, 7:30 p.m. in Norman. This will be the game of the week. College game day will be in Norman. I'm going with the Sooners over Michigan. I just think that, with a freshman quarterback like Bryce Underwood, going into Norman with that defense with Brent Venables, head coach, I think they'll get the win over Michigan. Like I said, I know they look good. Justice Hayes, especially the Alabama transfer running back, had 16 carries, 159 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. But I'm going Oklahoma in a close one. I think it's going to be a good game, but just like I did in my schedule predictions with Michigan, I said one game I could see them really losing is two games I see Michigan losing is Oklahoma and Ohio State. But if they can win one of those games, they definitely can make the college football playoff. If they win one of those 2 games, they're definitely getting it. Either way, I think I can still see Michigan getting into the college football playoff at 10-2. But I'm going Oklahoma. I think with the veteran quarterback transfer from Washington State, playing in Norman, with that crowd, Bryce Underwood, a freshman, I just think it's going to be a little bit too much, but it's going to be an interesting game. But I'm going to Oklahoma to get the win over Michigan. But that was my week 2 predictions for the college football season. My overview for week 1, like I said, Texas losing to Ohio State 14-7. Florida State upsetting number 8 Alabama at home 31-17. LSU upsetting Clemson on the road 17-10, and Miami beating Notre Dame 27-24 at home. Like I said, I was wrong in each of these games. I could take accountability for that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. As a journalist, you're not going to be right about every game, no matter how much I know or, study or watch. It's football. Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth, and anything can happen in college football or even in pros. But let me know in the comments who you got for this week's games. What do you think of last week? Do you think Archie Manning's overrated? Even if you disagree with me, that's okay. Just let me know. Who you think is a favorite? Do you believe that Ohio State deserves to be the number 1 team? Right now they're ranked number 1. LSU is ranked 3. Penn State is ranked 2. So do you think Ohio State should be number 1 for beating Texas, or you think that should be LSU? Let me know. And what are your predictions for week 2, especially with Michigan and Oklahoma? Do you think Michigan can get the win, or you think Oklahoma will stand firm and get the win at home? But I appreciate you tuning in for another episode of Cameron Sports Podcast. This is your favorite host, Cameron Lindsay, your favorite podcast. I'm here all football season. High school, college, pros. I'm doing it all. But I appreciate each one of y'all tuning in. Make sure you click that subscribe button and post notifications. If you want to touch down with Cam, please, let's get to 300 subscribers. We're not far off. I think we can get it at least by the end of the year. I would hope so, But either way, I'm going to continue to strive, even if I wasn't to hit it, because I know one day I will get to 1,000 to 1 million. So, but yeah, I appreciate you when y'all tuning in. This is Cameron Lindsay, your favorite host of your favorite sports podcast. I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all take care.